Hey guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to a new series of videos where we'll be taking a look at early access games. In today's video, Ground Branch. If you've got time, I'm streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/TechGiraffe, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoons and evenings, and a few extra days here and there. But I hope you enjoy the video and let's see what Ground Branch has to offer. So before we get into the video entirely, just a little bit of brief background on me. I've played shooters, first-person shooters, most of my entire life, especially my adult life. And I'm always looking for something that has some aspects of realism to it, that balances the realism and the video game side as best they can. So I'm looking at Ground Branch and the features that they're promising and trying to bring forth through that lens. In light of that and getting into Ground Branch proper, the game's developed by Blackfoot Studios, released to early access in 2018. They've got some people on staff that worked on the original Rainbow Six, the original Ghost Recon, so they have that understanding of the slow, methodical decision-making, tactical mindset. And their overall goal, stated on the site, is that they want to bring the tactical aspect back into the tactical shooter. Now, there's a pretty solid framework on the website as far as what things they plan to roll out. You can go and check out their entire roadmap that's coming, and so I'm going to be using that as my kind of guide through this video. I'm going to bounce back and forth between a few things and not really follow a set schedule because other things lead into others, but that's how I'm going to kind of plan out this video and talk to the strengths of this game as far as how they're being marketed by Blackfoot Studios. So first of all, pretty significant level of customization in this game. That's the one big draw for me. Not quite the level of customization for weapons and equipment and gear you'd see in other games, but it's still pretty high. The unique thing about this customization system, though, is you can take optics, lights, foregrips, things like that, put them anywhere along your standard rail systems, your mil-spec rail systems you'd use on, AR, AK platforms. However, you can't just throw it wherever. So if you have a variable zoom optic and you put that thing way too far forward on the rails, you're going to have issues when you zoom in too far. You don't get enough eye relief or whatever, and you can't see your target, or you're not going to be able to aim. Your zero's all messed up, whatever it may be. Too close, you have too much of it taking up your view, and the entire screen is zoomed into one little tiny area. Foregrips too far, the ability to mitigate recoil is going to be messed up. Too far back, the ability to mitigate recoil is going to be messed up. You got to put it in the right area. Something you may never think about in video games, but your flashlight on your weapon, if it's too far back on the rail, opposite the open side of the light is going to cast a shadow from the barrel or the foregrip or the PEC laser or whatever it is, which is going to make it hard to see left of your light when the light is on. Things like that. It's a pretty awesome level of customization, and that customization pulls out away from the weapon and goes into your character in a pretty significant way. Well, character customization may not be as robust as weapon customization, but there are some cool factors that relate to it. So you can change the style of plate carrier, the colors, the helmets, put on hats, battle belts, which isn't something I see often, but you can add ammo and grenades and equipment to that battle belt, but you can also add those to the plate carrier, which is kind of cool. So you can consider going into this match or whatever it is, how much ammo do I want to have, how much is my guy going to weigh when I have that ammo, how much is that going to slow him down, and so on and so forth. And those things will play into the game later down the line as single player missions come out, a campaign comes out, more robust multiplayer comes out. They're going to start including AI teammates as well with a full command system. And so those things will play into it also. So not everyone needs to bring breaching charges, and not everyone needs to have a sniper rifle, not everyone needs to have medical equipment. So you can balance those things out amongst your AI teammates or your friend teammates. Even right now, you can play with friends and enjoy that. So far, I find the most enjoyable thing is to be playing against AI and some of the PvP type stuff, but those things are being built out to be a little bit more robust. They're kind of bare bones right now. Most of my joy and my fun in the game has come from terrorist hunt type stuff, whether it's solo or playing with friends. But those things will play in eventually, and those things are going to grow. PvP, a full AI teammate with command system, and a single player campaign and mission to go through and all that. But all of these factors, as far as customization, will play into that. How well you can maneuver your character, and how well you can work through that mission to complete that mission or that objective or that match or whatever it is, depending on how you've built out your character and how you work with your team. And something I'm really enjoying now as we get into the actual gameplay matches themselves is the animations and the character movement system. So there's not like for instance, you want to throw a grenade, you can't just press a button and throw a grenade. They're going to have realistic equipment use. So you want to throw a grenade, you're going to have to sling the rifle, pull the grenade, set the pin, whether it's, softened or you need to soften it yourself or whatever, pull that pin and deploy that grenade, and then bring your rifle back up. So if you're doing that solo, you have to consider, I don't want to just throw a grenade and then break contact. I might want to break contact, get cover, and then throw a grenade, because if I throw that grenade, it's going to take a second. It gives that enemy a moment to get shots on me. So that's kind of cool as far as realistic equipment use. And that applies to magazine changes, that applies to grenades, medical kits, things like that. And I take that back. Medical animations to heal yourself, they're going to have realistic injuries as well. So there's not going to be medical kits. You might be able to heal yourself if it's a significant life-threatening injury, like an arterial bleed or something. But once your character's hurt, they're a little bit combat ineffective in that sense, a tiny bit. They're still useful, but it's going to be an issue fighting and dealing with that injury. You can't just heal yourself. There's not healing stations or magical healing, from a med kit or whatever it is. They're going to have that. But of the same token, if you're playing with teammates, there's going to be a system where you can drag your teammates to cover. If they're down, patch them behind cover. If they're out, you can strip them of their gear and use their gear in that match or in that terrorist hunt or whatever it is. So that's going to be kind of cool as the realistic injuries relate to getting your buddy out of a danger area and somewhere safe where you can patch them up or use their equipment and their gear. So delving into character movement and game mechanics as a whole, I'm just touching on a few points here really quickly to start wrapping things up. I like a lot of the stuff they're including as far as the ability to move your characters. So there's basically a speed at which your character is always walking or quick walking, but there's also a speed where you can kind of speed walk and still aim. Your accuracy is going to be affected, but you can move a little more quicker to cover and put rounds out. And then there's a sprint, which you can't aim at, which is cool. And then there's some leaning options, different crouch options. They're working on some prone options, which aren't in game right now, but different ways to prone out on your back, on your stomach, things like that. But something I really like is this whole, high port / high ready, low port thing or whatever. So very rarely does anyone ever run around with their rifle stuck in their shoulder all day like you see in video games. Well, the problem you have in video games is that if it's stuck in your shoulder like that, if you're panning outdoors, you're oftentimes going to miss, which happens all the time, someone crouched somewhere and camping there, and then they put rounds out. In Ground Branch, they've done something that's pretty realistic that you can do that I like. You can set your rifle up high port, which can be just to see different things, or can signal to your buddy across from you, hey, go ahead and move and enter because it's on you. You can bring it down to low port. Low port isn't really low port. It's actually more like the gun is at a low ready, but it's not shouldered yet. You're just kind of waiting for a target or an engagement or something like that. But even coming from those positions up to a fire mode is still relatively quick. You're not really sacrificing much time as far as the game is concerned. And it's pretty cool because I haven't really seen that whole high port, low port thing done before, at least this well. It's one of the first times I've seen it done significantly well and done in a way that's actually pretty realistic as far as a system of communication and ability to gain situational awareness. It's pretty cool. All right, and so finally, two things I really liked about this game. First of all, how they handle variable zoom optics. A lot of games, you get a variable zoom optic, and it's really just kind of like one or two little options between 1 and, whatever it is, or 2 and whatever it is. There's optics out there that are basically 1 and 4 or 1 and 6, and games handle that well. But there's plenty of optics out there that are 1 and whatever and everything in between. And very few games take advantage of that. Ground Branch does that really well. So like whether it's from EOTech or whoever it is, you're able to dial that optic for every distance you have between its minimum and its maximum. Now understand, in real life, when you're changing that zoom and based on whatever zero you're using, that can affect round placement and things like that. It's not a huge deal right now in Ground Branch. It is a little bit, so you do have to account for that depending on what zoom you're at and what the thing is zeroed at. But as time goes on, it's going to be a bigger factor as they implement more mechanics related to that. Further, as it relates to all of the devices, whether it's a dot, variable zoom, whatever it is, there are options out there, products on the market that you change the brightness of the reticle. So you're able to do that in Ground Branch. There's games out there. I actually can't think of almost any game right now off the top of my head currently that I play that allows you to do that. So the problem you have with that is that if you're looking through your reticle and it's nighttime and that thing is super bright, it's going to wash out everything else. And in Ground Branch, it does that. If you look through it and it's maximized on brightness, a lot of the stuff through that reticle gets washed out and it messes with your situational awareness. You can turn it down to almost zero or off if you'd like, and it helps you see so much better through that optic or that device. There are products on the market that you can. For example, RMR, there's an option where you can adjust the brightness, and there's one that's auto adjusted. You can't change it. It is what it is. And that's reflected in Ground Branch. But I like that you can adjust that brightness so that it's better to see through that optic to engage whatever, you know, AI or PvP, whatever is going on, in order to get that bloom away from your eyeballs. And then finally, something I really like is the night vision in the game. So the device, when you look through it, if you don't know anything about night vision, there's a ton to learn, but basically you either see from 0 out to a few meters or a few meters out to infinity. It's not like a camera, it's kind of fixed. There's ways to adjust that, and it'd be cool to see those in Ground Branch, like little, you know, pinhole optics and things like that, covers. But basically you adjust it for a certain distance. Oftentimes it's out to infinity. On Ground Branch, that's what it is. It's adjusted for out to infinity. So as soon as you get a few meters close to an object, it's all fuzzy and blurry. Now, typically, you're not going to shoulder your rifle with night vision on. You're not going to look through the optic. You can in Ground Branch, but it's pointless because they reflect the reality well that when something's close to you, you can't see through it. So if you try to look through your optic with your night vision on, since your night vision's set for a few meters and up to infinity, it's all blurry since it's under those few meters, and they reflect that really, really well. It's very realistic, and I like that. And then further, the same thing applies to like your own human night vision, like of your regular eyeball. When you take off the night vision or you walk out of a dark room or something, there's a transition period there in the game where it's very, very, very dark for a moment as your eyes adjust, and I like seeing those two kind of things. I've worked under night vision a lot, and I can tell you that working under green tubes, when you take it off, your eyes are really, really tired. And it definitely affects how well you can see in darkness naturally. All right, so that pretty much wraps it up. Question might be asking is why now? It's 2 years later. Why make the video now? Long and short of it is they've come a long way. Game currently sits at $19.99 on Steam in early access. It's in patch 1030.2 at the moment, but patch 1031 is coming, and it is promising some significant quality of life updates. However, with patch 1031, they're going to be moving the price up to $29.99. Based on a whole myriad of factors, I think that's pretty fair. I think that's a reasonable price to ask for what they're offering and what they plan to do with this. But the reason I put it out is if you are interested, if you're thinking about it, now might be the time to get into it before that patch comes and before that price change. But essentially these guys are doing something pretty cool, and I think it has a ton of potential. So go check out the website, go check out the page, give them some love, and maybe consider getting it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. You can DM me, reach out on socials, throw it in the comments, whatever it is. And as always, if you have critiques, suggestions, whatever it is for any of my videos, since these are pretty new, I always appreciate those. Feel free to reach out. Let me know what I can change, what you'd like to see, or any suggestions you have for future videos in this series. Appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day.